Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Egberto, Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Welcome aboard. Yvette Avery Herod from Atlanta, Georgia is in the house. AVQ from Brooklyn, New York in the house. We also have Lee Grant from Montgomery County in the house. Paul Fleming from Atlanta, Georgia in the house. Eric Hayes from Atascocita, Kingwood in the house. E2247 from all over. And Joe from LA, who is undergoing a smoky time. I saw that video with all the fire surrounding you, my dear sister. You stay healthy. Make sure if you're going outside, get a wet towel to help you breathe in that, so that you don't breathe in all that muck from all that burning stuff. But I'm glad that you're here with us, Joe. Stay safe. I know the fire is close by, but stay safe. She sent some videos with the fire right across the street from her. That is amazing. Let's see. Lee Grant says, welcome to the Trump era for the next 4 years. Some see it as a return to common sense where we'll do things. No, we see it as a return to not normalcy. And most of the world sees it as a return to not normalcy. Egberto still haven't figured out how to set up an auto share on Blue Sky. Not yet, but I am currently shared at Blue Sky. I hope you see that. There are a couple of tools to do the auto share. I don't want to use them because there's a monthly charge that they're charging for sharing that. And I think I can actually implement it with Zapier with a little bit of programming, but I don't have the time to quite do it right now, so I'm still doing it manually. Joe says, I have an N95. Yeah, that's good. I don't know how much that takes out. Hey, peeps, sorry, Joe. Knee EG 13 here. Yeah, negative 13. That's cold. Paul Fleming says, Elon Musk is almost done building a lithium factory that will need up to 8 million gallons of water per day, and it's 20 miles outside of Corpus Christi, which is so dry the local water company distributes shower times at high school football games. It's amazing, isn't that? Rest in peace, Peter Yarrow, member of the folk trio Peter, Paul, and Mary. Yeah, I saw that. I think he died a couple days ago, right? Let's see what else. Enjoy masking. Anyhow, folks, I got a great video for you guys to start. You know, Trump believes he's going to take over Canada, right? Or he's going to make some sort of a deal, Canada the 51st state. Well, a politician in Canada has other theories. Not theories. They have something that maybe Americans may like a bit better. So let's see what our Canadian friend has to say. And then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go now. Sometimes a little bit of truth, well, in this case, a lot of truth, is sort of important. You know, Donald Trump recently has been talking about making Canada the 51st state and pretty much conquering Greenland and taking back the Panama Canal and all that sort of thing. Silly warmongering assertions from the president, or I should call him the future thug in chief of the United States of America. You know, when he first attacked Mexico about tariffs if they don't do X, Y, and Z, it was great to see the president of Mexico, a woman, put Donald Trump in his place about who really is to be blamed for the drug addiction of Americans and the reason why their border is being used to transport drugs across and American guns being used to get those drugs across, the violence that American guns are bringing to Mexico. Well, recently, the Green Party leader, Elizabeth May, had some comments to make to Donald Trump when he talks about making Canada the 51st state. And, you know, what is sad about it is we are a capitalist country that have a great economy for a few, not for the many. But we are, in fact, still a huge economy that if we chose to could do better than any economy in the world for its people. But we chose as a society to allow the plutocrats, the oligarchs, the millionaires, the billionaires to acquire all the spoils for all the work, productivity, intellect, and innovation of the people. So it opens the door when Donald Trump makes silly statements trying to show the omnipotence of America for other countries to say, but look at how we treat most of our people, unlike what you can say. I want you to listen to what Green Party leader in Canada had to say about President Trump's offer of the 51st state of Canada. You know, she had a reversal. She had a better idea. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington, you've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances on our West Coast from British Columbia. There's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free healthcare. Universal free healthcare. No more 1-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free healthcare. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws. That's why we have the safest streets around the world, or at least in the United States, by the way, the most recent stats, 5.9 out of every 100,000 people is killed in a fatal gun incident versus 0.88 per 100,000 in Canada. That's because we have strict gun laws. California citizens, Oregon, Washington, safer streets. Here we already have good gun laws, and women have a right to an abortion under our universal health care system. But, we don't have to stop there. Donald, think about it. You could get rid of all these states that always vote Democrat. You know what else will take Bernie Sanders off your hands? Proud new Canadian citizen of the great province of Vermont. Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. We'd love to see you. Our maritime provinces already have deep, deep links and ties. Well, enough kidding around. But honestly, President Trump, get used to it. Canada is a sovereign nation full of, guess what? Proud Canadians. We're not jingoistic. We don't boast a lot. That's one of the things we kind of have in common with Jimmy Carter. We're not a big nation for braggarts and bullies. We actually like to think we're of service in the world. We could do better. We can always do better. But we love our country. And it's a country. It's a nation. And we do not aspire to be a 51st state. So let's not hear that anymore. If it was a joke, it was never funny. And it ends now.
Yes. It's great because right now, as we are fighting our way, how are we going to pay for our health care? How are we going to stop the murders on the streets of the United States? Because we have laissez-faire gun laws, and we have predatory healthcare pricing, predatory healthcare, or non-existent healthcare for people who simply can't afford it. It seems like I bet if you were to give the Canadians the option to vote for being the 51st state, or maybe give Californians and Oregonians and Washingtonians and Vermont, those from Vermont, you give them the option to maybe become a province of Canada where they have great health care, where they have not only great health care, but everybody has access to success. And by the way, you don't have to worry about guns blowing your kids' heads off continuously as we do in the United States. I wonder what percentage of Americans would say become a province versus Canadians saying become a state. That would be an exercise worth having, don't you think?
We spend a lot of...
Yeah, that would be an exercise worth having. What do you think, PDR Posse? What do you think people in California would say? Do they want to live 4 years under Donald Trump, or if they could temporarily become a province, do that until America got its act together? Think about it. Think about it. Let's see what we've got here. Elon Musk is almost done building. I read that one already. We also have London. Left-wing lawmakers in parliament became angry today when the conservative Shadow Home Secretary said it is not for the far right to stand up to victims. Oh, that's a joke. I mean, Elon Musk is doing a whole lot of lying overseas, trying to prop up some right-wing governments. Ain't going to work. Let's see. Michael says, why the hell would they not build that factory on the eastern seaboard where water is plentiful? Don't build water in intensive industry where water is scarce. You know why? Because he wants a big state like Texas that's going to coddle him. We're going to give him tax breaks up the gazoo as he uses our resources here in Texas. He couldn't do that in New York. He couldn't do that in New Jersey. He couldn't do that anywhere where there's an abundance of water. And the places where there's an abundance of water that's our red states, they ain't got the money to give him. Think about it. Remember, red states are bigger states. Bridge MCP says, Michael, probably taxes. Musk moved headquarters there and Amazon is fallen. Oh, yeah. These guys are just looking at it from a money point of view. John Cotter is in the air. All right, not in the air. It's on the show. Hey, John, are you flying yet? I haven't spoken to you in a while. Happy or merry new holiday, my dear brother. She was great with her ideas here. I think she was. Mike Cisak says, did you guys know this was the first time in nearly 40 years that Democrats did not object to a GOP presidential certification? Well, I mean, I wish a couple of them had, because it would have given some more notice to it. I wanted people to realize that Donald Trump did not win 50% of the vote. He won less than the majority of Americans. Yes, he won the most votes of all the candidates running. So he won the popular vote, but he didn't win. He won the popular vote. He didn't win the most votes in total. I need folks to understand that. Okay, Michael says, Egberto, I think that Trump is using that joke about the 51st state as a distraction from his inability to pass any of his major populist campaign promises, which he will forget as soon as conservatives do. And I agree with you. Joe says, I vote Canada, please now. I'd rather vote American, but I can't find it. Where has it gone? Seriously, though, I stay and stand as courageous woman with honesty in community. I hear you, girl. Maywood says, that's a conversation. Carter said, can Houston get in on that? Well, yeah, we can. We can. We're Houstonians, Carter. We can definitely do that. Hey, Carter, are you flying yet? Hey, says, move if you don't like it here. Go to Mexico or Canada or Greenland or Panama. No, you move, Eric. You move. You move. If you don't like what we're going to build here in America, you move. Don't forget, this is as much my country as it is your country. In fact, I could say that I have more rights to America than you do, Eric Hayes. All right? Let me just let you know that. Don't let me elaborate on that now. Okay. Lee Grant says, fun facts, Greenland's population, 57K. So what? Bridge MCP said, Egberto, I had a picture of Canada and then Oregon, Washington, California, Michigan, New York, Vermont as part of Canada. Find it. All right. Let me see if I can pull that up and put that on the screen so that all our people can see a new research by the one and only Bridge MCP. Let's see what that looks like. There we go. That is the land. That is let me scroll it up a little bit so people see it a little better. There it is. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum responds to Trump on his proposal to change the name of Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America and points to a 17th century map of Greater Mexico. I love that. The problem about all of this, we are going to call it America Mexicana It sounds pretty. No. The problem is the following. Donald Trump knows no history. Donald Trump has no real education. So what happens is Donald Trump can say a whole lot of stuff and people just kind of allow him to get away with it because they don't want to say, guess what, Donald Trump? You're pretty dumb. You know, my second grader knows more about history and geography than you do. Did you know that, Mr. Trump? My folks, but look, we're making fun here, but this is all serious. And one of the reasons we have this channel, this network, it's not only we're going to make fun of Trump because he's a fun worthy, but we have to strategize on how to approach it. So what I am doing, my part in this is to keep you informed of stuff, let you know what's going on for the things that you don't have. But most importantly, my brothers and sisters, is the following. We have to do something. So the MAGA converts, those that are MAGA that are, I tell you what, before I do that, I have another video to show you. Then I promise. So let's see. Yvette Avery Herod says she is amazing. She said all that needed to be said. Exactly, Yvette. But before I go there, I want to remind folks that we are also live on Twitter, on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, what is it? Substack, Facebook, on everything, YouTube, etc. So no matter where you're at or what kind of platform you have, you can reach us now. We've invested into this multi-channel thing to make sure we can get this info out there. The only thing that we ask is those of you who haven't yet become paid subscribers of our Substack channel to please consider doing that, because this is how we're going to continue to be able to do this. I want to give you a piece of my program from this morning. It's important. It's about, it's include what Zuckerberg did, but more importantly, it has a message for my MAGA people. I think this is the video that I want to get to you. So let's go ahead and play that, and then we'll take it on the other side. We all know that right now, Elon Musk has changed the game in a lot of ways. Elon Musk what he has done is went ahead and turned Twitter into the cesspool that it is, the Nazi machine that it is. But, there was still Facebook, which has its problems, but at least we thought it was okay. Well, yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg capitulated to Donald Trump, and he removed all fact checking from Facebook. And now he has user notes, is what they call them. And of course, user notes can be abused, because what it means is what the right wing can do is pay a whole bunch of people to go ahead and downgrade your post that may have some factual information, factual news. They can downgrade your factual news and put a whole lot of noise on it to slow it down or stop it altogether, and get those same people to uplift others. You can say, well, the left could do that as well, but that just isn't the modus operandi of the left, of progressive, of truth tellers. That just isn't the modus operandi. So the fact checking for Facebook is gone. And when Trump was asked yesterday in his news conference, do you think that Mark Zuckerberg changes policy because of what you said or because of you? And then with a smug face, Trump said, yep, more than likely it's because of me. Zuckerberg begged for an interview at Mar-a-Lago with Trump. Trump had dinner with him. And now you can pretty much say Trump is in control of Facebook. And what that means by removing the fact checks, just like Trump lied to you to get into office by telling you all the things that he's going to do, which were lies, and we're going to start proving this over the days that we're going to be talking about these different issues. We're going to start proving to you that you better have remorse early So while you can't control Trump as the executor, you do have control of your Congress people who you can force to let them know Trump can't be president again, but they can run again. And if they know that supporting his thievery will put them in clear and present danger, your vote, you'll start to see matters again. But anyway, the cesspool that Facebook will become will simply ensure that Trump's and his minions can lie to the uninformed unabatedly from Facebook by creating the false realities that they've already created to many Americans. But now they have the unabated ability to do it to a whole lot more because the fact checks are gone. Welcome to oligarchy. Welcome to oligarchy. When you have the president-elect say, yes, Zuckerberg changed his policies because I am in power now, and I tell these private sector companies what to do. And they oblige. The oligarchy is here. The oligarchy is something that we better be careful of. The oligarchy is something, we talk about it all the time. And sometimes people hear us talk about it and they don't believe it. They just think, it really can't be that way. Well, it is here. Elon Musk shows that it's here. You see what Elon Musk is doing across the world. We're going to talk about that later as well. But folks, this is real. And eventually it's going to get old saying, I told you so, or we told you so. That what we did, we pointed out strictly that this man was a clear and present danger, and it has started, and it is time for all of us to know. Let me just say this. I guarantee you over these next 4 years, well, I always tell the truth, but let me tell you, the truth is going to be in lesser and lesser supply because a lot of folks doing what I do, a lot of folks are going to throw their hands up in the air and say, well, if the American people don't want to listen to the truth, if the American people want to be willfully ignorant, if the American people want to be gullible, if the American people really don't give a damn about reality, maybe I should go ahead and just join the club. Join the club. Join the media club that is capitulating to the oligarchs and capitulating to those who lie and just become a part of the party and get paid. And get paid. As I've mentioned before, I am a political activist first, a progressive activist journalist. And it hasn't happened in a while, I think, because the reality is out now. But several times, before our channels on the internet got severely throttled, we got emails suggesting that we change formats to a right-wing format, that suggesting that it would be lucrative. I gotta get my tonality right. It would be lucrative. Just change. Hey, there are not a whole lot of right wingers who look like you. You should join the club. You could make a lot of money doing this. And we have people who would fund this kind of a stuff. It's about values or money. Values or money. I chose values. But a lot of people doing what we do here, and I've had conversations with some, and there's one specific person who has 4 times the followers that I have. That while, I've interviewed him a couple of times and he accepted the deal. And now he's doing very well being a part of the machine that's lying to you. The reason I'm saying this is I'm saying, wake up. Wake up. Yes, folks, we have got to wake up. We have got to wake up. Hey, yay, our brother Jack Carter is flying again. He flies those big birds, Hey, where are you in Japan or somewhere else now, Carter, or you're back here in the States just chilling for a while? I know you do all your international flights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, congratulations on flying again. I hope one of these days I get onto one of your planes and find out, hey, it's John Carter that's piloting the plane. Now I can feel safe. Anyway, folks, let's see what else we got here. Egberto, since Zuckerberg wants no fact check, this is going viral. LOL screen. Well, you know what, girl? If you give me something to put on the screen, I'm going to put that on the screen, and that one I've got to put on the screen. Here we go, Bridge. It goes like this. Facebook founder and convicted pedophile Mark Zuckerberg, dead at 36, says social media sites should not fact-check posts. Zuckerberg, who died of coronavirus and complications from syphilis at his home near Facebook headquarters in Lincoln. Hey, no fact-check. So that is a valid post for Facebook. You want to bet how long that lasts? Was that really on business news? You want to bet, guys, how long it lasts? And by the way, folks, if you notice, our new format is when I put this stuff on the screen, I put it in the center of the screen. And that's because there's one holdout that we have right now with that we're still trying to figure out with Substack, is that the Substack won't format our stuff correctly to get the full screen out there. So for now, when I put these things on the screen, I got to block out myself to get it on the Substack platform, because we're live on Substack and we have to give everybody the opportunity to see the wonderful things you guys put out there. That is funny, Bridge. I like that one, Bridge. Okay, let's see what else we got here. The trash man cometh, according to Maywood. And by the way, anybody who wants to be in the chat, you can either go to the chat or you can send it on Twitter, however you want. Eventually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start maybe opening a chat as well on Substack. I don't have that set up or qualified yet. Still working with the folks to see how we're going to do that. Anyway, continuing, we have, let's see what else we have. Paul Fleming says, Joaquin Castro, for the last year, I've been pushing the FBI and CIA to release files about their surveillance of the Latino civil rights movement. This week, the CIA released a new set of documents giving us a window into efforts to obstruct the work of organizations that fought for civil rights. This is an important step forward for transparency, and I hope the FBI will do the same. Of course, they won't, because it's now, all of the executive would be under control. All right, Zuck made fact-checking a thing with Trump. One, the first time to stop misinformation. Trump sued him. Now Trump is back, and with Trump, no fact-checking. That's exactly the reason why. But also, it has to do with the trust case against him. He probably thinks Trump is going to do him a favor. I doubt it. Trump just likes to show he is the boss no matter what. Michael Rodney says, Egberto, 4 years of suffering begins soon. The red hats will cheer when it's those they hate suffering first. But when the suffering eventually reaches them, and it will, then they'll cry about it. But Trump is trying to set up that the Biden economy is bad. And he's going to try to blame the pain of MAGA on Biden. So I have a message for them. I want you to listen to this, because this here is even more important. Let me get to it. Let's see. Here we go. Vamos a comenzar ahorita mismo. Ahí está ahora. Donald Trump promised a lot. He promised that, first of all, he lied a lot. He said how bad the Biden economy was and continued to be, even though what Biden had to do is rebuild the destruction caused by Donald Trump. But that's what he said. But the guy is fearful because all the numbers are pointing to first of all, we still have horrendous income inequality. Yes. We still have too many rich people making monies on the backs of poor and middle class people. Yes. That's a structural problem within capitalism that has to be resolved when we change our economy to a true free enterprise economy. But based on the standards of our economic system that it is at currently, the economy based on these parameters is great. Again, yes, there are poor people. Yes, there are people are the income inequality is terrible, but we have to solve that problem by electing people who are going to create progressive policies. Biden is a neoliberal, a capitalist, a neoliberal, and he is following the rules. And that's who we elected to do so back then in 2000. His job growths were faster. He brought more manufacturing jobs than Trump. He brought more jobs than Trump. Inflation rate that Trump started and that continued because of COVID, he got that mitigated. Wages are growing up faster, going up faster than it was under Trump. Interest rates are down. Immigration is at a lower point now than it was when he took office from Trump. And again, we are, even though this is not a good thing as far as I'm concerned, we are drilling more than we were drilling under Trump. We're exporting more than we were exporting under Trump. We are a net energy producer. So all these things are better under Biden. And Trump is worried because Trump understands that if these things are this way now and the policies that I'm passing to pass all this wealth onto billionaires going to screw my people, I want to make them believe that this is not my fault, but Biden's fault. Well, we're not going to allow him to do this. Look at the actual numbers as Steve Radner points out now, and then we'll take it on the other side.
We are inheriting a difficult situation from the outgoing administration, and they're trying everything they can to make it more difficult. Inflation is continuing to rage, and interest rates are far too high. And I've been disappointed to see the Biden administration's attempt to block the reforms of the American people and that they voted for.
President-elect Donald Trump yesterday continuing to suggest he's inheriting a poor economy. Steve Radner has been looking into this. He says nothing could be further from the truth. We'll start with job growth. How is it?
Yeah, Mika, the economy is incredibly strong, as you guys talked about a little bit yesterday. And in fact, Trump is inheriting the opposite of what he says he's inheriting. Jobs is a great place to start. You can see that we've been creating jobs consistently across both the prior Trump administration as well as Obama, of course, with the exception of COVID. But if you exclude COVID from the calculations, under Biden, we've been creating jobs at a rate of about 241,000 jobs per month. Under Trump, it was 180,000. So not only are we creating a lot of jobs, we're creating at a faster rate than Trump 1.0 did. Manufacturing, we all know manufacturing's been a tough spot for the United States. We had been losing manufacturing jobs for many, many years. It was exacerbated by the financial crisis. But under Trump, but also under Biden, we have created a lot of manufacturing jobs, 693,000 under Biden, 425,000 under Trump. And so manufacturing jobs are actually back to the highest level they've been at since the financial crisis. It's a tough job, but but Biden has gotten a lot done on the manufacturing side and left Trump with a pretty decent tailwind there.
So, Steve, as we move to your second chart, we heard President-elect Trump mention inflation there. Goods are still too expensive for many Americans, for most Americans, but it is important to look at that number in relationship to how wages have risen as well lately. What does that look like?
Yeah, 2 points on that, Willie. First of all, he said inflation was raging. We have to recognize that inflation did rage. We had a really tough spot on inflation during COVID for a whole series of reasons. But what maybe Americans don't fully appreciate is how far down it's come. It's come all the way back down to between 2.5% and 3%, depending upon what measure you use, just above the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. Not that far, actually, from where inflation was under Trump. And food prices, grocery prices, which are obviously one of the most important items to everyday Americans, which again did soar in fairness, are now running at about a 1.6%, 1.7% inflation rate. So very, very low inflation in food. So inflation is not raging. So as inflation has come down, that's obviously been good for workers because their pay has been going up, but inflation had been taking a lot of that away from them. It's now the opposite, in fact. So real wages adjusted for inflation, since COVID ended under Biden, have been growing 1.5% a year. That's, again, a pretty good tailwind. It's an even better tailwind than Trump created, where he had 1.3% annual growth in wages. So right now, the American worker is seeing their after inflation paychecks going up by a reasonably significant number.
So inflation may have been decisive in the election. Immigration also is very important as we move to your third chart, Steve. What does the border look like today? Obviously, it was a problem. There was a crisis at the border during the Biden administration, but that has changed here in recent months.
Yeah, again, Trump talks about the border being out of control. And in fairness, again, like inflation, we had a tough run at the border. But again, what I think most Americans probably don't appreciate, and certainly Trump does not seem to appreciate, is how far down they've come. This blue area are people who cross between ports of entry, between recognized entry points. The films you see of people going across the Rio Grande River and things of that sort. The green are the people who present themselves at the ports of entry. And you can see again how far it's dropped. And in fact, the blue is all the way down here at about 47,000 a month. And that is a lower number of crossings than we had when Trump left office, when it was running at about 70,000 per month. So the border is actually quite secure at the moment. And contrary to what Trump says, it has come all the way down. And then there's energy. Another subject that he keeps saying, we've got to, drill, baby, drill, and we've got to create more energy. I'm not sure he's aware that we're actually already doing this. And so you can see here, in fact, that our energy production has been hitting records. We brought down our use of coal, so that's a really good thing for the environment. We have at least temporarily replaced it with natural gas and crude oil, record levels of production in our history. And then we have some nuclear, and we have grown renewables. And what also isn't probably not appreciated, and it did start in 2019, but it's accelerated under Biden, is the fact that we have become a net energy exporter. We actually export more energy, mostly in the form of oil, than we import. And so the idea that we're not producing a massive amount of oil and gas and all kinds of energy is also simply
Again, Donald Trump is scared to death because he understands that there are no policies that they're going to put out that's going to save his butt. The policies that he wants will hurt all Americans, but specifically, they are targeted towards MAGA. I have another piece that I did early this morning on KPFT that I'll put out a little bit later. But the policies that these guys are talking about putting forth are actually it's going to completely destroy the well-being of many of the people who actually voted for Trump. Absolutely so. But let me tell you something better, guys. And let me just respond to Mr. Lee Grant. Brother Grant, please do remember, he increased some manufacturing, which of course was a natural progression that Obama started. But guess what? Biden did even more manufacturing than Donald Trump. Everything that Donald Trump did, Biden did better. And it's not rocket science. Like I mentioned in several other videos, economies do better under Democrats because of the nature of how Democrats spend and what they believe in spending, and how Republicans hoard and transfer money to those who just hoard it. That doesn't lend itself to economic activity. And again, we have the evidence, over 100 years worth of evidence. But you guys never learn. You always tell a lie that, just reducing taxes, you make the money back by productivity gains because of the tax cuts. If you study any kind of economics, every dollar that you save in tax is a multiplier for spending as opposed to tax cuts. It's a lot higher. It's a statement of fact. The multiplicator for giving tax dollars and spending tax dollars is greater than giving it to a whole bunch of rich fat cats. Egberto, if the economy does better under Democrats, why do Democrats in run states are worse conditions than GOP run states? Let me tell you something, my dear brother. Again, I don't know how to express this to you. The red states are bigger states. The red states get their monies from the blue states. Mississippi, Alabama, Florida, all these states are bigger states. They get more money from the federal government than they put into the federal government. Blue states put more money into the federal government than red states do, and that money gets transferred to the red states. That's a statement of fact. Mr. Magner, how are you doing, my dear brother? Talk to me.
I'm doing great. How's the posse? How are you?
The posse are doing fine. We still have a few of our MAGA posse that continues to delude themselves that somehow the policies on the right works. When we have all the you notice what I told the folks this morning, Patrick? Fact check me. Please do. I want people to fact check me. Anyway, my brother, talk to me. What you want to say? Because I got another 11-minute video to play, but I want to get your voice first.
I'll keep it real short then. We brought up trickle-down theory again right now. If the conservative outlook on this is correct, after the 2008 crash, which was due to deregulation, and you also went over how without the regulation, everybody was able to rate
laissez-faire.
They rated all those toxic investments as AAA because they didn't have any rules, and if they didn't do it, somebody else would. But I don't want to go too far into that since we're limited on time. But after the 2008, the economy stopped.
Yep.
But during 2008 during 2008 and during COVID, the only people that made out well, and during COVID they increased their net worth by 33%, was the top 0.5%.
Exactly.
And now what that tells you is while everybody else couldn't get a job, these people were still making money. Mm-hmm. They didn't use that money to start the economy. They pulled it out of the economy, and they didn't care anything about anyone around them. Now, if these rich people are the job creators, what happened in 2008? And then why did the government have to bail them out then? And why did the government have to bail us out during COVID? It makes
because
no
we
sense.
Always have. Hey, Patrick, I got to go, but we always have to do it, brother Patrick. The government, they always come to suck on the you know what of the government because they can never stand on their own. The stock market is a gambling casino, and I can move on from that. But let's get to the video, and then let's talk a little bit more tomorrow. Okay?
Sounds great. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Peace. All right, folks, I got a video that I've got to get out because I need you to see that this one is great, and it'll kind of talk about what Patrick spoke about as well. NYU professor Scott Galloway appeared on MSNBC's Morning Joe, and I tell you, he had one of the best narratives on what's occurring right now with our economic system, with our oligarchy, with what capitalism is doing to the working class. Now, this guy is, Scott Galloway is a New York University professor. And again, based on the way he speaks and what he does, it's clear that he still believes in the capitalist system and the way it works, but he wants some framing to have better distribution of what the economic system creates. Unfortunately, what many like the professor and others who have been indoctrinated in the system fail to realize is the controls that they want to put on capitalism within our economic system makes it no longer capitalism. I believe strongly in democracy, and I believe strongly in free enterprise. The problem that we will never solve until we are honest about economic systems is that we have a predatory economic system, a system that by definition says your first goal is to reward, is to satisfy your shareholders. That is their ultimate goal. That is not what I am saying. That is what the God, or I should call him the new God of capitalism, says, which is Milton Friedman. Read his 1970-something paper. You can find it on Wikipedia. Capitalism doesn't care about environment. Capitalism doesn't care about any of these things. You have to write laws that allows the existence of humanity, the existence of caring for others, the existence of preventing monopolies, etc. Because by definition, if your sole goal of a particular company is to maximize the profits for a particular corporation, then by default, it turns not into competition, but into monopoly, because you will do at all costs what's necessary to maximize income. This is a reality that nobody wants to be honest about. And in effect, that's what we see in our economic system. The only answer is true free enterprise with a strong social safety net, with us taking all the essentials out of the for-profit systems, meaning life, for your life, your health care. That doesn't belong in the private system, just like firemen, policemen, police persons. None of that belongs in the private sector. We've got pieces of it done, but we need to finally rearrange our economy to have real free enterprise and to have people really asserting their worth and being paid their worth. The billionaires that we have out there are parasites taking advantage of you. Unfortunately, even Scott Galloway doesn't have the gumption to say it. But I want you to listen to what he said, starting with the capitulation of Mark Zuckerberg to Donald Trump by turning Facebook into a cesspool like Twitter. Listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
What is so shocking, I mean, just from a personal standpoint, what's the point of having all this money if you aren't at some point going to show some fidelity as a 40 or a 50-something-year-old man that has the wealth of the GDP of a Latin American nation to actually standing up and showing some fidelity to American values? Bezos has got the yacht. Tim Cook, Jensen Huang at NVIDIA is worth more than Intel or Boeing. At what point? When do the men show up here? When do the Americans show up here? Where are the men that have such blessings and such prosperity from the rule of law and capitalism and competition? And we don't need more mergers and acquisitions. We need more breakups. One company owns 2/3 of all social media media globally. Meta, one company has 93% of all share of all search. Google, and if you don't think every day we don't pay higher prices, one company has 50% of all e-commerce. Amazon, the percentage of revenues that have gone to Amazon from third-party retailers has gone up from 24 to 50%. Look at the rents that parents are paying on Facebook when 24% of teen girls are now addicted to Facebook. 6% of our teenagers are clinically addicted to drugs and alcohol. 24% are addicted to Instagram. And the number of teen girls self-harming has doubled. So if you want higher rents as a consumer, as a retailer, and as a parent, that's where we're headed.
What does that say about where American capitalism is going over the next 5-10 years?
I think it comes down to a basic question. What is America? And my kind of economic role model is Peter Drucker. I think an economy in America exists to create a robust middle class. The most ascending countries over the last 20 years have been China and India. And it's a one basic litmus test. How many people are you bringing into the middle class? The greatest innovation in history is not the iPhone or the semiconductor. It's the American middle class that beat back fascism in the middle of World War II, has financed and built the greatest innovations, whether it's radar, whether it's the internet, whether it's vaccines. The middle class in America is the greatest innovation in history. And people like to fall back into this right-wing notion that it's naturally self-healing. It's not. It's an accident in history. Typically throughout history, you have a small number of people who weaponize government. They're very talented. They aggregate power. They weaponize government, and they aggregate more and more spoils. And then the good news is it's self-correcting. This level of income inequality is usually self-correcting. The bad news is the means of self-correction are typically war, famine, or revolution. And if you want to talk about tax policy, the myth in tax policy is that the rich don't pay their taxes. That's just not true. The fulcrum is the following. There's super earners and super owners. The folks around your table are probably considered super earners. You make exceptional livings, but it's all current income reported on a W-2. And if you live in New Jersey or New York, you're probably paying 48 to 52% tax rates.
Right.
But if you're a super owner, I make my living starting and selling businesses. My last business, which was sold for $160 million, the first $10 million from my $160 million sale was tax-free. My effective tax rate over the last 10 years has been 17%. The average tax rate on the wealthiest 25 Americans is 6%. Corporate tax rates are at their lowest point since 1939. At the same time, taxes have gone up for the super owners. Now, the bottom 50% don't pay much federal income tax, but they pay a lot in usage and consumption taxes. But this misdirect talking about tax rates misses the point. It's the tax code, which has gone from 400 pages to 4,000. And that 3,600 pages, quite frankly, is there to screw the middle class and continue to transfer more money to the super wealthy. The fastest growing demographic group in America is not seniors. It's not Latins. It's billionaires. We had 500 billionaires 10 years ago. We now have 2,500. So if you want to cram more and more wealth into a smaller group of people, we're on our way. And the weird thing about America is that we support it because our superpower is our optimism. The Achilles heel is that 99%, the bottom 99% who are getting screwed, don't mind these policies because they believe at some point they're going to be in that 1%. But where are we? We're in a country that's had unprecedented prosperity. It has not been evenly distributed. When 40% of U.S. households are struggling with some sort of medical or dental debt, when a quarter or 20% of households with kids are food insecure, and yet we have one man, Jensen Huang, who is now worth more than Boeing. I mean, something is wrong here. And just let me go to the psychology of happiness. You effectively, once you get above a certain level of wealth, you get no incremental happiness. So why on earth would you not go back to a tax policy of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where say above, pick a big number, 10 million, you actually pay more than 10%, maybe more than 20%, maybe more than 50%, because the difference between 30,000 a year for a household and 50,000 is enormous to the well-being of that household. Low-income kids in low-income households have higher resting blood pressure. But the difference between making 10 million a year and 15 million a year offers you no happiness. But these individuals have weaponized government, and we risk revolution, whether it's CEOs being murdered in the street, whether it's a Me Too movement that had righteous components of it, or Black Lives Matter. What are these movements? They are targeting the wealthy. We are in the midst of a series of small revolutions to correct income inequality. inequality. And the reason we put an insurrectionist and a rapist in office is because for the first time in our nation's history, a 30-year-old man or woman isn't doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. Why? Because the majority of households are having the oxygen sucked out of the room such that a small number of individuals and a small number of companies can be worth more than nation states. Income inequality is out of control. Our tax policy has gone full oligarch.
Galloway's correct. And one of the things that we are doing here at Politics Done Right and other people that are trying to make Americans aware of what's going on is, yes, we need to get the right people elected. We need to inform people in such a manner that they feel they have agency in getting folks elected and doing what they're supposed to do. Because otherwise, listen to the last sentence that he has. If we are unsuccessful in educating, having people vote their interests and not the lies of the Trumps, etc., they're just ripping them off once again. If we don't get the work done, he's right. What you saw Mangione do would simply be the tip of the iceberg. I hate to say that. It's not something any of us want, but when people are pushed against the wall and enough are pushed around against the wall, people will start reacting. Scott Galloway is absolutely correct. Yes, he's absolutely correct. And we are about 1 minute past over. So let me ask one thing, please, folks. Support the program however you can. You can support us through our Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. One of the best ways to support us that gives you a whole lot of features is if you go ahead and subscribe to our Substack newsletter. Those of you on Substack right now, you can just go ahead and hit that subscribe button to subscribe to our newsletter, or you can just go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And anybody who subscribed to our newsletter on Substack get to read all 5 of my books, which is that link opens up on our menu that you can read all 5 of my books and all subsequent books that I write. You have full access to those books. Likewise, you get special access to non-advertising videos that we put out, including all of these videos that we do, our podcasts, etc. You get access to all of that. So what I'm asking you, if you are on Twitter, if you are on Substack, you can just subscribe. If you're not on Substack, hey, either go to substack.com or download the Substack app. It is a great platform. It is a platform unlike Facebook because, again, we have more control as far as there's no throttling or anything like that. So please, please, please consider becoming a subscriber of our Substack or a patron, politicsdoneright.com/Patreon, or go to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter to become a subscriber, a paid subscriber of our newsletter. I got to get out of here. I'm already 2 minutes overdue. Look, we have a new series starting pretty soon on what they did, the $71 trillion fraud that has occurred on our economy that the mainstream media is not covering, but we'll cover it. Anyway, folks, I've got to get out of here. I love you all. Thank you for listening. My name is Egberto Willies. Mi nombre es Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right, and you guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead, number 1, subscribe to our channel, and number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.